හරිම සුමුදුයි.
Tonight on First at 9 this Sunday the 25th of February 2024. Under investigation, President orders probe into notification requiring Russian and Ukrainian tourists to leave the country within 14 days. Overcome fear. Local businesses not threatened by EDCA, says Foreign Affairs Minister. Urges Sri Lankans to overcome fear by achieving economic growth.
ගිලගන්න දේවල් ලංකාවේ නැහැ. බය වෙලා මේ වැඩේ කරන්නට බෑ. ඉන්දියාව විශාල වශයෙන් දියුණු වෙනවා.
Let us clarify. CBSL seeks opportunity to clarify reasons behind the salary hike to members of parliament. Outraged. Sri Lankan Airlines flight delays and cancellations spark passenger outrage.
Where is the hotel? Call a best hotel! No!
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
This is Derana First at 9, live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Derana First at 9. I'm Aditya Singh joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now in your top story tonight, President Ranil Wickremesinghe has called for an investigation into the recent notification issued by the Department of Immigration and Immigration to Russian and Ukrainian tourists. The notification requested Russian and Ukrainian tourists whose visas were extended for free up until the 22nd of this month to leave the island by the 7th of March this year. However, it was confirmed that the notification in question was issued without the approval of the Cabinet of Ministers.
The Department of Immigration and Immigration recently issued a notification to Russian and Ukrainian tourists requesting them to leave Sri Lanka within a span of 14 days. According to the notice, the 14 days were to begin from the 23rd of February. The notice stated that valid visas as at the 28th of February 2022 of Ukrainian and Russian tourists were extended up until the 22nd of February 2024 for free, as flights to Russia and Ukraine were cancelled due to ongoing geopolitical conflicts between the two nations. It went on to say that it's noteworthy that there is no necessity to extend visas for Russian and Ukrainian tourists, as direct flights to the two nations have recommenced, though tensions between Russia and Ukraine still continue. Thereby, all Russian and Ukrainian tourists belonging to the category of extended visa holders for free were requested to leave the island between the 23rd of February and the 7th of March this year. The notice further urged the Tourism Ministry to notify tourists belonging to the said category. However, the President's Media Division in an X-message said the notification in question has been issued without prior cabinet approval. It further went on to say that President Ranil Wickremesinghe called for an investigation into the notification which was issued to tourists of Russian and Ukrainian nationality. The President's office also revealed that the government has not officially decided to revoke visa extensions previously granted to these tourists. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority on its website claims that visa extension for Russian and Ukrainian tourists expires on the 23rd of February. The notice further directed Russian and Ukrainian tourists to contact the Department of Immigration and Immigration for further details. Taking the matter into consideration, the Ministry of Public Security assures that thorough investigations will be conducted.
In recent times, particularly following the economic crisis, Sri Lanka has looked towards international trade agreements as a key macroeconomic tool to spur economic growth. However, certain stakeholders claim that trade deals with economies several times the size of Sri Lanka come at the expense of local businesses. As the 14th round of the negotiations on the Economic and Technological Cooperation Agreement with India loom ahead in March, some have raised concerns that Indian businesses and entrepreneurs may threaten the sustainability of local businesses. Addressing those concerns, Foreign Affairs Minister Ali Sabri has assured that the EDCA agreement with India will not have disadvantageous results to Sri Lanka, and went on to say that trade agreements with the global market must be established if Sri Lanka's economy is to be built and strengthened. The minister's remarks come amid India's expression of hope for the early conclusion of the EDCA agreement.
සඳහා රටේ සම්පත් යම් කිසි ආකාරයකින් අලෙවි කිරීමට රජයේ යම් කිසි සැලසුමක් තියෙනවා.
මම හිතනවා අපි ඉතාමත්ම කල්පනාකාරීව තරඟකාරී විදියට මේ දේ කරොත් අපිට විශාල වශයෙන් මේකෙන් ප්‍රයෝජන ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන්. අවසාන වශයෙන් මේකේ ප්‍රතිලාභය හම්බ වෙන්නේ රට ජනතාවට. රාජ්‍ය ලෝකයේ පිළිගත් න්‍යායක් තියෙනවා. රාජ්‍ය ව්‍යාපාර නොකළ යුතුයි. රාජ්‍ය කරන්නට ඕනේ ඊට අවශ්‍ය පසුබිම සලසා දීමත් නියාමනය කිරීමත් විතරයි. ඒ නියාමනය අපි කළ යුතුයි. ව්‍යාපාර කිරීම සඳහා ව්‍යාපාරික ප්‍රජාවට අවස්ථාව ලබා දෙන්න.
ජිව්සුමාර ඉන්දියා ව්‍යවසායකයන් ඉන්දියාවේ කර්මාන්ත ඉන්දියාවේ තාක්ෂණ සියල්ලම මේ ලංකාවට ආපු අපේ යම් කිසි ආකාරයක අපේ කම්කරුවන්ට අපේ යම් කිසි ගැටලු ඇති වෙනවා.
නෑ ඇති වෙන්නේ නෑ. ඒ එන්නේ ඒකත් එක්ක ආයෝජනය වෙනවා. මම මුලින්ම කියන්නට ඕන අපි එක දෙයක් මතක තියාගන්න ඕනේ ලෝකයේ ආර්ථිකය ට්‍රිලියන 86යි. ලංකාවේ ආර්ථිකය බිලියන 74යි. ලෝක ආර්ථිකයේ ප්‍රතිශතයක් ඇටියට ලංකා ආර්ථිකයේ කොටස ඇවිල්ලා 0.01යි. දශම. ඒ හින්දා ලෝකෙට ඇවිල්ලා මේ ගිල ගන්න දේවල් ලංකාවේ නෑ. බය වෙලා මේ වැඩේ කරන්නට බෑ. ඉන්දියාව විශාල වශයෙන් දියුණු වෙනවා. ඉන්දියාවත් එක්ක අද ඇමරිකාවත් හැම රටක් බිස්නස් කිරීමට පටන් ගන්නවා. අපි කරන්නට ඕන මේ ආර්ථිකය ගොඩනගලා ලංකාව පැත්තෙන් ඉන්දියාවේ ආර්ථිකයෙන් යම් කිසි ප්‍රමාණයක් අපිට ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන්ද කියලා බලනකොට එතකොට තරඟකාරීත්වයක් ඇති වෙනවා. ඒ තරඟකාරීත්වය ඇති වෙලා විතරයි අපිට පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ අපනයනයේ පාදක කරගත් ආර්ථිකයක් ගොඩනගන්න. අපනයනයේ පාදක කරගත් ආර්ථිකයක් ගොඩනගින තුරු අපිට කවදාවත් නැගිටීමක් නැහැ. ඒක අපි තේරුම් ගන්නට ඕන. ආයෝජකයෙ ඉන්නට ඕන. ආයෝගයක එන්න නම් උන්ට විශාල මාකට් එකක් අපි හදලා දෙන්නට ඕන. ඒ මාකට් එක හින්දා තමයි අපි වෙළඳ ගිවිසුම් ඇති කරගන්නේ. ඒක තමයි ආසියානු රටවල් කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒක තමයි චීනය කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒක තමයි ඉන්දියාව කරගෙන යන්නේ.
Now, as Sri Lanka is well on its way towards achieving economic recovery, President Ranil Wickremesinghe expressed his vision for economic development and infrastructure investment, particularly focusing on the master plans for the strategic tourism zones in the eastern province, the Colombo city and the western region, as well as the greater Hambantota area. During a meeting held recently, the president went on to reveal plans to connect the Hambantota port with the Myanmar port and added that further extensions are anticipated up to Chongqing in eastern China and down towards Africa. President Wickremesinghe also underscored a strategic shift towards targeted infrastructure development, emphasizing the pivotal roles of Hambantota and the eastern province in economic growth and positioning it as a key player alongside Colombo in Sri Lanka's development trajectory. A recent discussion on economic development and infrastructure investment was held at the Presidential Secretariat, chaired by President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The President's office said President Wickremesinghe emphasized the economic potential of Hambantota, envisioning it as a pivotal hub for infrastructure development and connectivity. He further highlighted plans to link the Hambantota port with the port of Myanmar, with further extensions anticipated up to Chongqing in eastern China and down to Africa. President Wickremesinghe stressed the importance of leveraging the extensive investments already made in infrastructure in Hambantota despite previous challenges. He went on to say that it is imperative to capitalize on investments despite challenges. He also disclosed plans to allocate thousands of acres of land for investment zones, with additional acquisitions sought in the Monoragala area. Moreover, the President advocated for strategic expansion into new areas including Avisavella and Dahaliyagoda to alleviate urban congestion and foster new city centres. Further discussions also focused on plans for a North Colombo port expansion and potential industrial and IT parks aiming to attract investments and spur economic growth. President Wickremesinghe stated that efforts and funds must be concentrated on key infrastructure, particularly in Hambantota and Colombo. He expressed confidence in attracting investors for heritage cities including Colombo once land availability is ensured. The development of Trincomalee Port as a major investment zone in collaboration with India emerged as a priority during the discussion. President Wickremesinghe announced plans for a joint working group to implement development initiatives in Trincomalee, emphasizing the importance of bilateral cooperation in driving economic growth and regional stability. In a bid to support the education of Sri Lankan children, President Ranil Wickremesinghe introduced the Presidential Academic Scholarship Program 2024-2025. The special scholarship initiative, launched through the President's Fund, aims to annually award scholarships to 100,000 students from grade 1 to grade 11 across all 10,126 schools in the country. 3.6 billion rupees have been earmarked from the President's Fund to sustain this initiative. Acknowledging the challenges posed by the current economic climate, President Wickremesinghe envisions this program will ensure uninterrupted education for deserving students, particularly those with limited resources. The initiative aims to nurture talented individuals and contribute to the development of Sri Lanka's human capital through investing in the country's future generation. The annual feast of St. Anthony's Church was celebrated at the Sri Lankan islet of Katchathiu, with many Sri Lankan devotees attending the two-day religious event. Notably, this year, the South Indian fishing community has boycotted the St. Anthony's Feast, which they traditionally attend, in protest of the continued detention of South Indian fishermen who were caught fishing illegally within Sri Lankan borders. However, a few Indian High Commission officials joined the 5,000-strong local devotees to attend the festive mass. The annual feast of the St. Anthony's Church in Kachitiv was held successfully on the 23rd and 24th of February 2024. The main mass of the church festival was conducted by the Vicar General of the Jaffna Diocese, Reverend Father Joseph Das Jebaratnam. The main mass was attended by Secretary to the President Saman Ekanayaka, Commander of the Navy Vice Admiral Priyantha Pereira, and a large number of devotees and a representative from the Indian government. The annual feast of the St. Anthony's Church in Kachitiv, a Sri Lankan islet located close to the international maritime boundary line of Sri Lanka and India, attracts devotees from southern India as well. However, the fishing community of Tamil Nadu decided to boycott the annual feast this year in protest of the continued detention of Indian fishermen by the Sri Lankan Navy.
It is very unfortunate that today we are unable to have the presence of our Indian brothers and sisters. So let us all together pray for all of them.
What are the steps you took to solve the Sri Lankan and Indian fishermen issue?
That is not an easy issue to settle. Everybody knows that this Indian illegal, unregulated, unreported fishing have been going on for a long time. So, overnight you can't find solution for that. Government, the fisheries department, the Indian fisheries departments, they are doing their best. As a force, the Coast Guard and the Navy will have to arrest whenever that they breach the rules and come into Sri Lankan waters. We arrest them. That we have to continue to do, at least to get it to some control. But that doesn't mean that will resolve it or solve the problem. What the fisheries departments on both sides, they'll have to find long-term solutions.
Now, tensions ran high between the passengers and the staff of the Bandaranaike International Airport early this morning as passengers were inconvenienced by the delay of flights operated by Sri Lankan Airlines. Following the flight delays and cancellations, the airport staff manning the counters temporarily withdrew from their duties without prior notification to the management of the airport. Meanwhile, issuing a statement, Sri Lankan Airlines said that the flight delays and cancellations occurred due to unplanned operational conditions at the airport and not as a result of any trade union action. Several passengers raised concerns over the delay of flights operated by Sri Lankan Airlines today. The inconvenienced and enraged passengers made several accusations against the airport staff.
You look! What time is it? Look me! Where is the hotel? Call the best hotel! No!
The Sri Lankan Airlines trade union meanwhile said that although the airport management had previously provided the passengers with the flight schedule for the day, the airport staff had later cancelled the flight schedule, causing inconvenience to the passengers. As passenger outrage grew to insurmountable heights, the staff of the airport premises temporarily withdrew from their duties at around 4:30 a.m. this morning without notifying the Bandaranaike International Airport's management. As a result, delays were experienced at the check-in counters in the airport premises. The withdrawal from service resulted in the delay of 4 Sri Lankan Airlines flights leaving for Chennai, Hyderabad, Kuala Lumpur and Dhaka. However, the hampered operations at the airport premises turned back to normal at around 6:30 a.m. today. Commenting in this regard, the Sri Lankan Airlines trade union revealed that the delays caused at the airport premises occurred due to unplanned operational conditions and not due to any trade union action.
මේ අද පාන්දර ගුවන්තොටුපොළේ ඇතුණු තත්ත්වය වෘත්තීය සමිති ක්‍රියාමාර්ගයක් නෙවෙයි ඒක. ගුවන් යානය අවලංගුයි කියලා කිව්වට පස්සේ ඒ ගුවන් මගියා පත්වන අපහසුතාවය ඇස් දෙකෙන් දකින්නේ මේ ගුවන්තොටුපොළ ඇතුලේ වැඩ කරන කාර්ය මණ්ඩලයන්. ඒ විච ගුවන් ගමන් ප්‍රමාද වීම සහ ඒ අවලංගු වීම හැමුවේ අපහසුතාවටපත් ගුවන් මගීන්ගේ ඒ අපහසුතා දරා ගන්න බැරුව එතනින් එහාට තමන්ගේ සේවය සලසන්න බැරුව ඒගොල්ලෝ ඒ කවුන්ටර්ස් වලින් අයින් වුණා. හැබැයි අපි වෘත්තීය සංගමයක් විදියට ශනිකව ඒකට මැදිහත් මැදිහත් වෙලා දැන් මේ වෙනකොට ඉතාමත්ම කෙටි කාලයක් ඇතුළත ගුවන් මෙහෙයුම් ගුවන් ගමන් යථා තත්ත්වයට පත් කරන්න අප මැදිහත් වෙලා තියෙනවා. ගුවන් කාර්ය මණ්ඩලයට මේ බැනවැදුනත් ඉතාමත්ම නරක විදියට බැනවැදුන ඒක ගැන ගුවන් මගීන්ට දොස් කියන්න බෑ අපිට මොකද ඔවුන් අපහසුතාවට පත් වෙලා තියෙන ටිකට් පතක් මිලදී අරගෙන ගුවන් තොටුපළට ඇවිල්ලා Tamanට යන්න ගුවන් යානයක් නැහැ ආපහු යන්න හොටල් කාමරයකුත් නැහැ මේ වගේ ගුවන් මගීන් අපහසුතාවට පත් කරන්න එපා කියන එක තමයි අපි සියලුම වගකියුත්තන්ගෙන් ඉල්ලන්නේ.
Sri Lankan Airlines too released a statement on the events which transpired earlier today. The statement as such echoed the statement made by its trade union and claimed that the delays experienced by its passengers at the check-in counters in the Bandaranaike International Airport early this morning were caused due to temporary, unplanned operational conditions at the airport and not due to any type of trade union action. The statement added that check-in counter operations were stabilized and returned to normal later this morning and extended the company's apologies to the inconvenienced passengers. Sri Lankan Airlines further stated that the airline continues to monitor the situation and take measures to avoid recurrence. Now, as a part of the nation-building efforts, President Ranil Wickremesinghe reaffirmed his readiness to consider positive suggestions from all political parties and emphasized the government's resolve to strategically steer the economy towards recovery. Speaking at a meeting yesterday, President Wickremesinghe affirmed that the presidential election will proceed as scheduled, with the general election expected to follow next year.
A proposal titled A United Step for the Country was presented to President Ranil Wickremesinghe yesterday morning by the leader of the United Republic Front, Member of Parliament, Patali Champika Ranawaka. The proposal was presented to the President at the City of the United National Party headquarters following fruitful discussions held between the two parties. Speaking at the meeting, the President stressed the commitment of the government to steer the economy towards recovery through strategic reforms and expressed his determination to continue these initiatives with the collective assistance of everyone. Recalling his open invitation to all political parties to unite under a common agenda for the country, he reiterated his willingness to embrace constructive proposals from all political parties as part of the nation-building efforts. In addition, the President responded positively to the request made by Patali Champika to allow all political parties to participate in the upcoming meeting between the government and the International Monetary Fund next month. Further, during the meeting, President Wickremesinghe affirmed that the presidential election will proceed as scheduled, with the general election expected to be held next year.
Leader of the Maubima Janata Party, Dilip Jayawira, says his party will provide a practical plan to uplift the farmers and the agricultural sector of the country. Addressing a conference in Polonnaruwa, he said that the country's agricultural crops can be brought up to meet international standards through a clear plan which will be presented by his party.
The Polonnaruwa district conference of the Maubima Janata Party was held this morning under the patronage of its party leader Dilip Jayawira.
අද කෘෂි කර්මය එන්නම අපේ ආර්ථිකයේ සුළු කොටසක් බවට පත් වෙමින් තියෙනවා. අපේ යුතුයකමක් තියෙනවා මේ රටේ සම්ප්‍රදායික කෘෂි කර්මය රැකගන්න. පළවෙනි දේ තමයි අපේ නිෂ්පාදනය වැඩි කරන්න ඕනේ. එහෙමනම් අපේ රජයක් යටතේ තමුන්නාස්ලා සියලු දෙනාටම අත දෙනවා නිෂ්පාදනය වැඩි කරන්න.
මගේ අවුරුදු 30ක වක්‍ර දේශපාලන කර්තව්‍යේ මමත් විවිධ නායකයින්ට උදව් කළා තියෙනවා. විවිධ දේශපාලන කණ්ඩායම් වලට උදව් කරලා තියෙනවා. මම ජවිපේ පන්ති පහට ගියේ ඉස්කෝලේ 8 ඉඳෙද්දි. 2004 දී උන් ආසන 42ක් දිනාගත්ත ඒ මැතිවරණයේදී මම උන් සමග සමීපව වැඩ කළා. ඊට පස්සේ උන් එක්ක දහසක් මහවැව් කියන ඒ මහා ව්‍යාපෘතිය එලි දක්වන්නට නිර්මාණශීලීව කැප වුණා. වැව් වලටත් ගිහිල්ලා බැස්සා. ඒ උත්සවයක් තිබ්බා. එතන එකම වැවක්වත් හැදුනේ නැහැ. මේ ආණ්ඩුව අද අපේ මේ ජාතියේ පෝෂණය ගැන සංකේතයක් වන කිරි හරකා ඉන්දියාවට විකුණන්න සූදානම් වෙනවා. ජාතියේ කවදා හරි දවසක ලියවෙන්නේ මේක කරන්න ඉඩ දුන්නොත් කිරි හරකත් විකුණගත්ත රටක් කියලා අපිට එහෙම වෙන්න ඉඩ තියන්න බෑ. එහෙනම් මේකේ නිවැරදි වීම සිදු වේ යුතුයි වහම. අපි නිශ්චිත වැඩ පිළිවෙලක් ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා මේ ගොවියා කොහොමද ඉදිරියට ගන්නෙ කියලා. අපේ අස්වැන්නත් ලෝකයේ අනෙකුත් රටවල වගේ තරගකාරී මට්ටමකට ගෙනියන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එක අපි ඔබට නිශ්චිතව සඳහන් කරනවා. ඒ සඳහා විද්‍යාත්මක වූද තාර්කික වූද වැඩපිළිවෙලක් අපි ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා.
Now, in other political news, United National Party member Ravi Karunanayake says that the party will present President Ranil Wickremesinghe as an apolitical candidate in the upcoming presidential election. Meanwhile, SLPP MP SM Chandrasena says that the general elections must be held before the presidential elections in order to gauge the true potential of the presidential candidates and the political parties in the country. With that, let's take a look at some thoughts shared in the political arena today.
දළදා මාලිගාවට ඉස්සෙල්ලාම බෝම්බ ගැහුවේ කවුද? ඊට පස්සේ තමයි LTT කාර්ය බෝම්බ ගැහුවේ. මේ 75 වසර ඇතුළත තමයි ඒගොල්ලෝ චන්ද්‍රිකා එක්ක හවුලේ ආණ්ඩු ගැදුවේ. මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂව ජනාධිපති කරේ. නිසා වේදිකාවල කටඋල් කර කර කෑ ගැහුවට රටවල් හදන්න බෑ.
අපිට දැන් ජයග්‍රහණය පිළිබඳ ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. අපි ජයග්‍රහණය කරලා ඉවරයි. අපිට දිනුවට මදි. දිනන්නත් ඕන, රට හදන්නත් ඕන.
2022 ආර්ථික නැමැති ගින්නක් ඇවිලි වුණා අපේ රටේ. ඒක නිවන්න මේකට පණින්න කිසිම කෙනෙක් ඉදිරිපත් වුණේ නැහැ. රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මැතිතුමා මේක බාර අරගෙන මේ ගින්න හිමින් නිවමින් යනවා. හැබැයි දැන් එතුමා ඒකෙන් වැල්පාලේ මැදට ගෙනාවට පස්සේ දැන් ඔක්කොම කියනවා නෑ ඔයා යන්න අපි මේක අරගන්න. ඒ වගේ නිකන් සුරංගනා කතා කියනවා.
මෙතනම ජනාධිපතිවරණට කලින් මහමැතිවරණයක් තියෙනවා නම් පෞද්ගලිකව කැමතියි. ඒකට හේතුව තමයි වෙන්න ජනාධිපතිලා පක්ෂයි ලොකුවට කය ගහන සියලු දෙනාගේම හයිය බලා ගන්න පුළුවන් මහමැතිවරණයක් තිබ්බොත් ජනාධිපති ඡන්දර කලින්.
ඔක්තෝබර් මාසේ 2024 වෙනකොට ජනාධිපතිවරණයක් තියෙනවා. ඒකට අපි කැමති සහ ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා නිර්පාක්ෂික දේශපාලන අපේක්ෂකෙක් වශයෙන් රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ.
Now in other local news, a 55-year-old was left injured after two assailants who arrived on a motorbike opened fire at a shop in Jampita Street in Colombo 13. Meanwhile, the corpse of an 84-year-old individual was recovered from a residence in the Kuttigala police domain. With that, here's a look at more news across the island in brief.
One person was left injured following a shooting incident which took place at Jampata Street in Colombo 13. Accordingly, two assailants who arrived on a motorcycle had opened fire at a shop in the nearby area. Following the shooting, a 55-year-old was left injured and was rushed to hospital for treatment. The authorities have begun an investigation into the matter. In the meantime, the corpse of an 84-year-old individual was recovered from a residence in Kuttigala police domain. As per investigations, the 34-year-old son of the victim was apprehended by police. Further investigations into the matter are currently underway by Kuttigala police. In other news, a special raid operation in conjunction to the Yukti operation was conducted in the Sanhinda 7 housing complex in Kolonavi yesterday. During the operation, the police special task force apprehended 5 people and a woman with narcotics in possession. Accordingly, the police seized 12 grams and 230 milligrams of heroin from the arrestees.
Welcome back. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka has submitted a written request to the President appealing to his capacity as the Minister of Finance for an opportunity to notify the members of Parliament of the process and the reason behind the recent salary hike of CBSL employees through an appropriate parliamentary committee. In a statement, the CBSL said the entity has taken note of the recent news media reports in media and comments and remarks attributed to some members of Parliament at recent proceedings of the House with regard to the latest revision of remuneration of employees of the CBSL that were approved by the governing board under the triennial collective agreement entered into with the trade unions. The governing board at its meeting held on the 21st of February subsequently made a request to the Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe to make a written request to the President Ranil Wickremesinghe appealing to his capacity as the Minister of Finance to seek an opportunity to apprise the members of Parliament of the recent salary hike of the entity's employees. As such, the Governor made a written request on the 22nd of this month. In the meantime, State Minister of Finance Shehan Semesinghe suggested to the Committee on Public Finance that it is indeed appropriate to summon the Central Bank of Sri Lanka to the committee and seek clarifications on this matter. Now, State Minister of Tourism Diana Gamage says that no decision has been taken to extend the free visa facility currently given to 7 countries on arrival to Sri Lanka. Joining a media briefing recently, the State Minister said the free visa issuance has shown a definite impact in boosting tourist numbers in the country. However, future decisions must be taken only after scrutinizing the pros and cons of providing the facility further. During the briefing, she also commented on regulating the wellness sector of the country.
අර ඉන්දියාව ඇතුළු මේ රටවල් මම හිතන 6-7කට වීසා ප්‍රතිපත්තිය ලිහිල් කිරීමක් කළා. ඒක මම හිතන්නේ මාර්තු මාසයෙන් අවසන් වෙනවා. දැන් ඒක තව දික් කරනවද මොකද්ද දැන් තත්?
ඒක අපි පොඩ්ඩක් ඒක ගැන කතා කරන්න ඕන. මොකද හේතුව on arrival visas දීලා මේක කරන එකෙන් ඇත්තටම අපි ඇට්‍රැක්ට් කරනවා ගොඩක් ටුවරිස්ට්ලව. මොකද මේගොල්ලන්ට නැත්තම් ගොඩක් අය කම්ප්ලේන් කරනවා මේ ඔන්ලයින් සිස්ටම් එකට ගිහලා හරි කරදරයි. එයාපෝට් එකට ආවම ඒගොල්ලන්ට කරදරයි. ඉතින් ඒක හින්දා තමයි අපි ඕක ඩිසයිඩ් කරේ. ඉතින් ඒක ගැන සලකලා බලලා සමහර විට ඉදිරියට ඒක හැමම කන්ටිනියුේෂන් එකක් යන්නත් පුළුවන්. ඒකේ කොහොමද කියලා pros and cons අපි බලන්න ඕනේ.
Do you have any update on this Ramayana trials? I mean, India has been seriously pushing for this.
At the moment, I am having discussions with some of them. and they are in touch with me.
So what's the investment we are talking about in these Ramayana trials?
I think India is even willing to invest in it. They have given proposals that they are willing to invest in it as well. They will build even hotels around where they can, have the accommodation for the people who are visiting these areas, They have given a lot of offers.
Now this, the late night bar also goes with prostitution. I mean, any idea to legalize prostitution?
Prostitution is 24/7. There's no time for prostitution. You have to look at it in a realistic way. You have to talk realistically. Now, the next fight I'm going to give is this name spa has to be changed. They should not be allowed to use the name spa because spa is a very professional thing and it's a wellness center. You cannot use that name. It brings in a lot of disrespect to people who works actually very professionally in a spa. So they will have to find another way around it.
Now in your corporate news, the Commercial Bank of Ceylon continued its strong lending growth trend in support of economic resurgence by lending 56.816 billion rupees in the fourth quarter of 2023 at a monthly average of 18.939 billion rupees. At the end of the year, the bank had a loan book of 1.296 trillion rupees. Meanwhile, Fitch Ratings assigned Merchant Bank of Sri Lanka and Finance PLC a first-time national long-term rating of BBB positive, stating that the outlook is stable. With that, here's a look at more corporate news in brief. The Commercial Bank of Ceylon lent 56.816 billion rupees in the fourth quarter of 2023 at a monthly average of 18.939 billion rupees to end the year with a loan book of 1.296 trillion rupees, continuing its trend of strong lending in support of economic revival. Robust deposit growth of 109.408 billion rupees was also witnessed in the 3 months ending 31st of December 2023 at a monthly average of 36.469 billion rupees. The group reported a filing with the Colombo Stock Exchange that total assets increased by 156 billion rupees or 6.24% year-on-year and by 5.15% in the 3 months reviewed to reach 2.656 trillion rupees as at the 31st of December last year. In the meantime, Fitch Ratings assigned Merchant Bank of Sri Lanka and Finance PLC a first-time national long-term rating of BBB positive, stating that the outlook is stable. The rating reflects the extraordinary support provided by parent BOC to MBSL when required. MBSL mainly serves high-yielding underbank segments that have limited overlap with BOC's core customer base, but this is partly offset by BOC's focus on increasing merchant banking via MBSL to strengthen the group's fee-based revenue. Haycarb PLC recently issued the dealings carried out by the directors of its company. During the share dealings, which took place on the 19th, 20th and 21st of February, the managing director of the company, HSR Karyavasam, and his spouse purchased shares at 68 and 69 rupees per share. The relevant dealing was notified to the board of directors on the 21st of February. Now in your sports news, the 61st Battle of the Brothers between Thurston College and Isipathana College ended without a win today. Thurstonite started their first innings after Isipathana declared their innings in the evening yesterday after scoring 250 runs for 9 wickets. Subsequently, Thurston College scored 53 runs at stumps yesterday. The Isipathana bowlers managed to take the first 4 Thurstonite wickets within 97 runs. Thurston skipper Vihas Thevmika and Harit Shalika, who took to the crease for Thurston's 5th wicket, managed to establish a partnership of 113 runs, giving Thurston College a hope of victory. Harit scored 42 runs in the innings and Mulita De Costa added valuable 28 runs to Thurston's innings. Isipathana College started their second innings this afternoon when their opening duo Navindu Umet and Ruchit Rodrigo managed to establish a partnership of 113 runs. In the last few minutes of the day, Rodrigo went for quick runs as he tried to get to his century, but Isipathana's first wicket fell in the second innings, bringing a valiant end to his efforts. That's it for tonight. Thank you. Have a great night.